Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome everyone to the Centerville City Council meeting being held here on November 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at Centerville City Hall. We welcome members of the public that are here. We welcome staff that are here, and council, we welcome you here. Let's do a roll call amongst staff to make sure that we can hold a meeting tonight.
Meekum present. Summerhays present.
Heyman present. Hurst present.
Plummer present.
All 5 council members present. We thank you, council members, for being here. We're excited about what we have on our schedule tonight, specifically the swearing in of our youth city council that will happen shortly, and for the work that they do. Let's have a legislative prayer or thought from Councilman Brian Plummer.
Thank you, Mayor. Did you know that both chambers of the U.S. Congress begin their daily sessions with a prayer? Well, now you do. Prayer is a communication addressed to a deity or spiritual being that can include expressing gratitude, praise, desires, and sorrow. The Pilgrims of Plymouth Colony have been described as a praying people. Many of their decisions in those early days of the colony were guided by fasting and prayer. In November, we honor those early Americans by giving thanks for their courage, strength, and fortitude as they laid the foundation to what would become the United States of America. And with that, I'd like to honor them by offering my own prayer. Father in heaven, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity to serve our neighbors at this city council meeting. Thank you for the people that have served before us, that gave their time and energy to help make Centerville the place we know and love. Thank you for our local, state, and national leaders, and bless them and their families. Thank you for all of our first responders, and bless them and their families. Thank you for our military service members, veterans, and families. Please bless them for the sacrifices they make and have made for us and this nation. Thank you for the opportunity we all have to live in this great land of liberty, and give thanks during this month of Thanksgiving to our predecessors, both Pilgrim and Indigenous alike. Please bless us this day to be mindful of those we represent, the people of Centerville. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Plummer. If you'd all rise with me and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I heard a lot of great voices behind me. I'm so proud of you young people that you spoke it loudly. Thank you so much. This is the part of the council meeting where it's the open session, and this is a chance where anyone that's here can come to the podium and express what might be on their mind. We ask a couple things. Number 1, that you state your name and where you're from for the record. Number 2, you try and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. And number 3, I guess I'm at a third condition. You realize that if there's something that requires some great discussion, that we will take it under advisement and take notes, and in many cases bring it back to a future council meeting, because of the fact that we have to post anything that we discuss in detail by law 24 hours in advance. But we like to do the open session to allow our residents a chance to speak. So that's the conditions with the open session. So if anyone's so inclined, that's now available. Just like I say, state your name and where you're from if you're going to make any comments.
Hi, everybody. Let me start my timer. So,
We won't be too hard on you.
Thank
Once you
you.
get up to a half hour more.
I will not. Okay, so to the mayor and to the council members, thank you so much. My name is Heather Taylor. I'm the chairperson of the tree board, and I just wanted to make a public comment about the UDOT project heading in on Parish Lane. We've had several people make a comment like, that is your welcome into Centerville. Oh, I'm from Centerville. And that's your welcoming into Centerville. And it used to be that when you came off of the exit and came into Centerville on that Parish Lane, you had tree lined on both sides of the roads, on all those businesses as you headed in. Then UDOT took away a lot of those trees, and then they gave money to the business owners to do with as they choose. And they did not choose to put trees back, with rare exception. And I just wanted to talk to you about that, because I would really like to ask that the city consider using its power to pressure either those businesses or UDOT to do something more than what they've done. I have already talked to Mark Marchant, Mike Carlson, and Kevin Campbell, and what they're basically saying is the city has no control over this. UDOT paid each property owner to restore their landscaping as they would. And so I'll just give you a quick overview of what they've done, what they've chosen to do. So Zion's Bank, for example, I think they removed 8 trees and they've put back 0. They put back a really bright glow-in-the-dark digital sign of their company name. Maybe with that money, I'm so curious if that's what they chose to use the money on. Across the street, America First Bank has put down gravel, teeny tiny gravel that comes downhill onto the sidewalk constantly. So there's always gravel on the sidewalk. I'm so interested to see who's gonna keep pushing that back up every day. It's tiny gravel. There's a part of it that's larger that looks like it might hold firm. I don't think it's gonna hold firm in a windstorm, but then there's the tiny stuff that's right next to the sidewalk. I don't think they lost any trees, but UDOT hacked their trees, and I really mean hack. Like if you were vandalizing someone's property kind of hack. So I don't know if everybody knows this, but trees can heal in only one place, and that's right where the branch starts to flare open when it hits the trunk. So you have to prune a tree there or it cannot heal. They have just hacked it. They haven't even cut it. They've just ripped it with like the excavator. So there's these ripped raw edges. I've counted, it's probably on 11 trees between IHOP and America First. I think there's no way those trees are going to survive. They'll probably look fine for 2 years, but they will have let in so many pests and diseases through those open wounds. So the pruning needs to be done. But even still, the roots have been damaged so severely that I think over the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see those trees die. We already, if you look up, now you won't be able to tell because the leaves have fallen, but I've got pictures from August that I can show you, that if you look up, there's already parts of those trees that are dying, and they exactly coordinate with where the roots have been removed down below. So I think we're gonna lose another 4 to 10 trees on that side of the road. They did plant a few trees. They planted what most nurseries roll their eyes and laugh at as like the garbage trees, which is a flowering pear. That's what they chose to plant. They put 2 of them way too close together. And then if you look down at the ground at how they're choosing to water them, it's awesome that they chose to use drip line, but they stuck the drip line right next to the trunk. And trees don't consume water from right next to the trunk. They consume it at what they call their drip line. And that distance changes as the tree grows. So you can't just bury the line and be done with it forever. So I'm just looking over there like, what the junk? They took beauty and they left us with garbage, and we're just gonna say, okay, it's none of our business because UDOT paid you and we're not a part of it. I just would really like to see more from the city on this beautiful entrance to our city.
Heather, I've got one question for you. When you're talking about the little tiny gravel, is that in the park strip?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we do have an ordinance about what we allow in our park strip.
There's no parking.
It's no park strip.
it's not the park strip.
It's curb,
Well-
sidewalk, and then the gravel on the other side,
Oh,
so back of
okay.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified that. So it is right next to the sidewalk, but it is between their
There,
parking
so it's
lot
not
and
the
the
park
sidewalk,
strip.
which is right next to the road. Great point, though. I like the creativity there. Thank you. Okay, if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to take them. Is there anything that we can help with as the tree board? We'd love to. One of the things that the tree board is offering is one member of our tree board, Brandon Henderson, does a side gig in tree pruning. He isn't an arborist, but he's trained for a long time with arborists, and he's happy to go over and get those pruned right away for you, if that is something that you guys, and we have to talk to the business owners, I would assume, and that would be IHOP and America First. But the quicker we can do that, the less amount of time that disease and pests get into those open wounds. Do you guys give me permission to move forward with that conversation with those businesses?
Oh, I can't deny you as a resident of having those conversations. And
Well-
I was just gonna say to you, I mean, we can't force, as long as they're complying, how they landscape, but, it would be nice if they landscape it, where it looks nice as well too. I just wanna know one thing.
Yeah.
Did you learn all this since you were put on the tree board, or did you?
No, I've always cared about trees.
Okay, I was gonna say, 'cause we're educating you, and I like that, but it sounds like you
Thanks.
had it down already, so.
Yeah, but
so
I do
grateful.
think I need a little bit of permission as far as, can I put on my tree board shirt when I walk in there and say, hey, we'd really like to encourage you to have done better for our city?
Well, yeah, but we can't sit there and tell you that they're out of compliance, if they're not out of compliance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Right.
if they don't wanna put up trees, they have.
You could help educate them. I think that's your prerogative. I think
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah,
Okay.
Francis,
Help them understand
just
why it's
educate them, yeah,
Okay,
and why you care, why we care.
thank you.
yeah, thank you, Heather, thanks for bringing that to our attention. Sure. All right, anyone else? If not, then we will close the open session, and let's go to our presentation. We have a brand-new youth council this year that is geared up to serve us and already have been serving us, and I'm looking forward to working with them. So Bryce, Haley, Jennifer, who's handling this?
I guess me and Jennifer and
Yeah.
welcome back in.
Yeah, well, I see Haley back there, welcome back, so. Can you give us, update the council a little bit on how many members we have and,
Andre? Come on, you're Mayor Pro Tem.
there you go. Well, make
Just
it up
an
then.
estimate. Just give us an estimate, rough.
Approximately 35
There we go.
members currently.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity. We like to bring part of the youth council before you to kind of swear them in and recognize them for their service with the city. Obviously, we don't have 35 here today, but to me, it's been a great evolution. I remember the mayor and I sitting in this very room almost 4 years ago, and we had how many? 3, maybe?
We were just single digits.
Single digits.
Yeah, low single digits, yeah.
And now we've grown numbers, thanks in part to have full-time advisors with the city, which makes a huge difference. And then also having really great youth participate in the city and serve the community, and word of mouth. I mean, we have several sibling, right?
Yes.
Sibling, we have a very strong generational family tree of kids participating in youth council, families, multiple kids, and it's great to see that. I love that part of our youth council. Just for the record, I did not pick these pink shirts. This was a thing that the youth council picked because they wanted to stand out in the crowd, and they definitely do.
They do stand out.
I thought it was just a belated breast cancer awareness.
You know, this is what we wear all the time.
Honoring Councilmember Hurst and Councilmember Summerhays' pre-Viver wife.
No, I wish we could say that was the credit for that, but they wanted something to be bright and stand out, and they definitely do that when they're at community events. Anything you want to say?
I don't think so.
This year we have 2, Cade Kramer is our mayor, youth mayor, and then Audrey is our mayor pro tem, but they really act hand in hand, both together. Each of them are over different events for the city, like Audrey was over, which event?
The pumpkin.
The Pumpkin Festival. And so they are in charge and they organize. I'm letting you talk, come on.
I don't know.
Tell them how you did, what was your role?
Oh, we just organized who does what, and we made it happen. Bryce gives us the food and the money and the supplies, and we show up and make it happen.
It's a little more than that. They plan out all the activities and I just make sure we don't go to the hospital or jail. They do a great job, and I was super impressed this year because Audrey did a great job of just sending out the message and saying, here's all the assignments, who's doing what, and really, for the first time in 4 years, I didn't even show up to the event, which made them nervous, but we also had Betsy there, which was amazing, but these kids really do a really good job for the community, and so we were excited to serve. So, with that, Jennifer's going to do the swearing in, so we'll bring all of the youth council up. So come up to the front. Just stand right here, facing Jennifer.
Yeah, come and stand
just
right
kidding,
here
right there.
in front of the council, facing the audience. You should take a picture, Bryce, too.
Here's got it.
Okay. After we're done, if you guys don't already have one of these, grab one of these slips from Bryce, and you'll just need to sign your name where it says sign here, okay? All right, each of you, raise your right arm to the square and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. That I will support, obey, and defend. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Utah. And that I will discharge the duties. Of my office with fidelity. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Make sure you get your papers and fill those out. You go out a lot of
Hey, Aubrey. Aubrey. Can I ask one more thing out of you?
Yes.
Tell us about your legislative day, what you've done in the past.
The day on the hill?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, normally we spend a day in sometime in the winter, January. February. We go up in February and we're able to spend time up at the Capitol. We sit in on the House normally. We're able to watch a session, look around, talk to different people. And it's been a super cool opportunity to see the next level of legislature. So that, yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
And then
all.
Thank you.
That is all kid-driven. Again, they are in charge of that. Are you in charge of that this year?
I don't think so.
Okay, I
Kate
think
is.
Kate is.
But we reach out to the different people and they are the ones that set up and we're able to set up different meetings with them, so.
So they've done meetings with like the Highway Patrol and the state treasurer, and they kind of get a bigger, broader picture of what goes on at the legislature, at the Capitol. In the past, we participated with the League of Cities and Trust, the League of Cities and Towns, Day on the Hill, but cost-wise, it's not effective to take 25 kids at
So
$70.
busy, it's hard to make it really
So
worthwhile.
these kids are happy with going up and touring the Capitol, and then we have a great lunch at Crown Burger.
Yeah.
So,
Well, being it not in conjunction with the other councils gives us more opportunities to go and talk to people and do stuff that not all the other councils
Yeah.
get to.
and a lot of cities are starting to do that now too, so.
And Representative Cutler's done a great job of hosting you guys.
Yeah,
on those
he's been
days.
amazing.
It's been nice,
So.
yeah.
We are very appreciative, we're very lucky in our council to be fully funded by the council, so we really appreciate that. Kind of an unheard of, not unheard of, but definitely a great benefit to what these,
Yeah.
paying back their service and their time to the community and having that opportunity to have some funding from the council is amazing. So.
And it makes it more accessible to people that wouldn't otherwise be able to be on a city council, so we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, and I think it helps us that we really accept everyone, and we've kind of made it open to everybody, not just, application. We still do, group
An application.
interviews and
Yeah.
accept people, but really if someone were to want to come in mid-year, I really turn it over to the youth mayor, and they decide if they want to
Yeah.
accept somebody and put some responsibility on them, so.
Yep.
Great, thank you for that report. We look forward to just under 2 weeks with donuts and Santa Claus.
Right,
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Thanks. Thanks, all of council, and we look forward to working with you this year. Okay, let's go on to our first business item. This is a public hearing matter. This is a general plan amendment in regards to water use and preservation element addition to the general plan. Mike Eggett, our community development director, is going to add to and answer questions. You have the information that was in your packet. So, welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening, council. Yeah, as you noted, this is a request or a requirement from the state of Utah for Utah Senate Bill 110 back in 2022, as when this was established. Requires Utah municipalities and all counties to integrate a water use and preservation element into their general plan by December 31st, 2025. So we're right up against the door of that timeline. The requirement is found in Utah Code newly numbered, they just barely renumbered this, 10-20-404. Section 2A4 identifies what types of cities would be requiring to do it, and then further 10-20-404, Section 2, subsection D outlines the requirements, which you have summarized for you in elements 1 through 4 there, the queries, which I'll note in just one second. And then if you're wondering where the timeline is, that's found in Utah Code 10-20-405, Section 4, subsection D. The other element that's tied to all of this is Utah Code 73-10-32, which is a water conservation plan requirement, which we are in compliance with. The first water conservation plan that was approved by the cities back in 2014. We're required to approve it every 5 years. The most recent approval was December 21st of 2021. So about this time next year, we'll probably be bringing forward another update. The general plan core requirements are that there be a water demand assessment, efforts to show reducing water demand, encouraging conservation and operational efficiency. The copies of all those documents are found in your pack if you'd like to look at those. This discussion was before the Planning Commission on November 13th, 2025, so just last Wednesday with a public hearing element. There were no comments provided during or before the meeting, and at the conclusion of discussion on the item, the Planning Commission, with a 5-0 vote, voted in favor of recommending City Council approval of it. And then the public hearing for tonight was put together in accordance with state and city code requirements. And so at that point, I'd be open to any, I guess, I'd defer to you, Mayor, how you'd like to proceed with any further pre-conversation, or if you want to move forward with the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, council, before we go to public hearing of Mike, that you need clarification on?
You said requirement, or you started off by saying a request, and then you went to requirement.
I meant required. It's required by state.
Is there any consequence for not following through with the date, the
That
deadline?
question came up at the Planning Commission level as well. What we've seen as far, when I say we as cities, at least I've seen throughout my career, is whether the legislature will like to create more rules and requirements at a future legislature session if they don't see compliance by cities. Sometimes they'll even threaten financing in the form of maybe road funding and other financing tools. But it hasn't been really clearly spelled out in Senate Bill 2022 or 110 of 2022, if there are any penalties, I guess, to answer the question. Yeah, that was not part of that bill at that time.
Mike, I want your opinion on, do you see any problems? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? With conservation water use element, or within your experience and what you're hearing from other planners? And
Yeah, I will back up and note that I have reviewed this with, for instance, our Public Works Department. They're supportive of the language found in the packet. They believe it dovetails, which is what the state has expected, dovetails into the water conservation plan that we already have in place and references that on purpose to create that nexus. Further, as evidence, well, as I brought to the council a couple of months ago after going to that water conservation conference down in southern Utah, there was quite a bit of discussion about having a really dry summer where normally we see with the monsoon season more water. So there definitely are concerns from our water entities, and I'd almost look for Dave to maybe talk a little bit more about that if you want to get more into some of the concerns relative to drought and Mother Nature. But even Weber Basin Water Conservation, we had them come to the Planning Commission and evidence that our own water provider entity is very concerned about the nature of water within our region And for that reason, they are encouraging conservation ordinance discussions, those sorts of things. And I think that's why you then see a bill like this coming to the legislature in 2022, is to look and forecast forward to help cities to recognize that we should at least be having conversations and be thinking about theoretical ways to discuss water conservation, where there might have been a idea that maybe cities historically have either not considered that there could be a concern there, or not given it enough legitimacy to look at potential solutions in their own community to address some of these items that are now required within this code.
Can I just bring up a thought? I think it's really important that we consider that we should be a team player on this particular item. Councilman Summer Hayes has mentioned before that many of us have contributed to the growth within this community by the sheer fact that we have multiple children. I want to bring up a really cool point. While running for election, I was asked a question about water use, and Representative Cutler provided me quite a bit of information from some legislative information he had been given. Guess how much water we use today versus 1989 for municipal use?
Well, it's gotta be at least double or triple or quadruple.
Right? You would
'cause
think. You would think.
Yeah, you would.
We use exactly the same. Our community has done that much with conservation that we're using the same amount of water, and yet our population's significantly higher. So I know that this sometimes seems like, why do we have to do this? But I'm telling you, like, that was a game changer for me to understand that component, that this conservation thing, we're doing it and it's making a difference. And that's how we help our children get to stay here and live here.
So I would ask the question, if that's how well we're doing, why are we going even further with our conservation plans? If we are using the same amount with double, triple, quadruple the population, well, when are we gonna admit that we're just not getting as much rainfall?
I think we
It's
all,
up-
I
It's
think.
up to Mother Nature.
The use
than it
is the same,
us.
but it is drier now. We don't get as much flow. So
Yeah, we
that
don't.
part has not changed. I agree with you on that. But as far as like what we're actually using municipally, it is the same.
But wouldn't part of that be that we had a lot more fields, a lot more gardens and things like that? Back then, we were watering some big fields back in '89, and now we put houses in, and the watering actually, as we know, takes way more water than residential do. So I would think that would have compensated, some of it probably isn't conservation as it is, like I said, we had big fields still back in '89 that were.
But big fields would have been considered agricultural use, and I'm not talking about agricultural use.
just talking about
Just
the-
municipal.
You're talking.
Okay.
Now, Robin, I think you have to, did they consider Dual Creek irrigation municipal or agricultural? Because we did have fields that were watered. I don't know. I don't know those, I don't know microscopically like how it works for Centerville, but I'm just telling you, like, that to me was a very impressive point that we are in a lot of ways doing our part. And I've talked to a couple of people that I worked with at Division of Water Resources and asked, hey, where are we at on conservation? At one point, 20 years ago, when I was working there, we were trying to get everyone to cut 25%. We've done that. So our communities are stepping up and doing what they need to. We probably still need to do more because we do have less water because of the, drought conditions.
So Mike, I see a provision here, and reading through it over the weekend, it says a water provider shall prepare and adopt a water conservation plan, file a copy with the division, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are classified as that. I would imagine somebody like Weber Basin Water is classified and has to do that as well too, because we have our own culinary and we use them for irrigation, but you have cities like Kaysville that buy all their water from them. So they're required to do the same thing as any water provider.
They are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. it feels like the reason for that is to make sure that there's a lift to the point that you just made, Mayor, about that water conservation plan being part of a link to your long-range planning with your general plan, that you recognize that there's, I guess when I say you, the community recognizes that there's a desire to be aware of water demands, reducing those water demands relative to drought conditions, and finding ways to continue to facilitate water, and recognizing that even the value of that water conservation plan meeting that requirement, so that it continues to be a living, evolving document that we're required to do every 5 years. It feels like the feeling might be some cities were not maybe doing their part relative to even the water conservation plan requirement of that code, whereas it seemed like Centerville was quick to move forward with doing what was required of them per that code going back to 2014. When I say the city, our predecessors. So I feel like the general plan element is legitimizing as a long-range planning tool to create that connectivity, and Centerville is already doing its part relative to the conservation planning requirements anyway.
So this is not committing us to, I know before, when they brought it before, when they were doing the flip the strip, and Corey was very concerned that he did not want our city to be responsible for, are we obligating ourselves with this in any way? And I have to say, I was on my walk today, I actually took some pictures of a couple of park strips that had been totally taken out, and drip had been put in. And I mean, if you talk to anybody who's in the landscaping, they'll tell you that if you just put drip underneath your grass, you're gonna save as much water as you are with your flipping the strip. So it was interesting, I've never seen that. And when I was out walking today, there was 2 that had just been pulled out and the drip was all put in, so I stopped and took some pictures, but I thought that was
Are
interesting.
they doing grass, you think, with the drip? Is that what you're saying?
I think they are, but I'm not positive.
To answer your question, in the water conservation implementation page, it says continue partnership with Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, promote flip your strip and other rebate programs through utility bills, update landscaping ordinance to require water-wise design, investigate partnerships for water reclamation programs. So as you can see, the language isn't require and is strict as much as it's support the ideas of what Weber Basin Water is trying to accomplish with their programming. Look at ways to look at water-wise designs with future potential landscaping ordinances. Look at ways to participate in water reclamation programs. We even already have in our code in CZC 12.51.070 D and H, water-wise recommendations for landscaping already in place. So I guess what I'm saying is I feel like the programs that are already in place within the city are established. This is just creating a call out for future planning that further creates a nexus that, yes, Centerville will continue to participate in these kind of practices and is aware that there could be future drought conditions or water conservation practices that would be worth exploring.
So I totally agree with the concept of this. It's just the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty, like, we do not and have not participated in Flip Your Strip, and the people in Centerville could not get the rebate because we were not willing to sign all the papers that they
And
wanted.
that's not
We
what
did-
They can
state
get
They can
code,
get the flip your strip
Yeah.
now.
They can get flip the strip rebate.
they
It's-
can now.
Not the yard.
That's
Not the yard.
because of the water conservation, the ordinances that he's referencing in the report. That's why you can get flip your strip. But is my understanding wrong? I was under the impression that they've now moved to a landscape rebate
They-
program, not necessarily flip your strip.
Flip Your Strip was just, in this case, an exemplar of the types
Okay.
of programming they could have, because it was catchy. You're right, it's been phased out.
They've kind of broadened it
It's
to,
been retired to,
Yeah.
other larger goals.
But I think that the code, at least the state code as it's stated, doesn't specify what programs a municipality has to abide by. It just says you must include methods both for future developments and what you're doing now as it relates to reducing demand or consumption. And so I think that takes care of it. I guess I have a question about the way we drafted. I don't really, to me, if the code, the state code has like items 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm wondering why our ordinance didn't kind of go through it, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of a thing, but that's just a drafting.
You're talking about the numbering?
No, not the numbering necessarily. If the state code required us to, number one, do a water demand assessment, have a section that's water demand assessment, and then two, reducing water demand. It's kind of following state code. I think what we produced in the ordinance addresses each one of those items, but not in the same formatting, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I was a state reviewer and I wanted to see easily if this complied, I could see it and it would mirror
I do have
what
the answer for you
state.
from the state's perspective. We did
Good.
ask them if this complies, and it is compliant.
Right,
So
right.
state DNR would say that this is compliant.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. This is a document that actually is derived from the current general plan document, just so you know, to meet this requirement.
Yes.
So that's why it was drafted the way it's currently constituted.
Yeah, just for, maybe for future reference.
Yeah, currently
Wait,
composed, sorry. not
Yeah, I was,
constituted.
as currently, yeah,
Proposed.
yeah. But I think maybe in the future, just for ease of reporting to the state, maybe that follows the same pattern.
And-
so they can easily just go through, approved, and be done.
And
as
to that
opposed-
point, the state isn't quite sure how they're gonna review this. This is
Oh,
just new
okay.
for the state as it is for us.
Right,
And so DNR is figuring this out as these reports start to come in that this has been completed.
okay,
So they have told us that as well.
okay. And I think the second question, I mean, Brian, you asked the question, what are the consequences if we choose not to do this? I don't know, in my mind, if it matters what the consequences are. If the state law is the law, we abide by it. Is there a reason why you're asking that question?
Well, we've been put up against a pretty tight deadline. And for what you just said, I would actually agree with you. I think that the drafting of this is lacking. And what
But
you
would they
stated,
put us up
let
a
me
tight
finish, let me
timeline?
finish,
'Cause it
let me
was
finish,
passed in
let me finish,
2022.
let me finish. I think the drafting is a little less to be desired. I think that we could actually refine it, make it better, more directly applied to the state statutes. And I am concerned about the conservation goals paragraph where it says we're adopting the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District's conservation and goals into our own general plan. So where are those goals? What are they? And why do we not have those? And you can't readily find them on the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District page. It's not there. So I would have some reservations about passing this tonight. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to pass it before the deadline, but they have put us in a predicament where there is not a lot of time. We have two council meetings before the scheduled council meetings before the change of to the new year. So I feel like we've been put with our backs up against the wall on this one with having those reservations.
You're talking right in the ordinance, Councilman Plummer?
In the ordinance, yes, the
Section D.
general plan amendments, conservation goals at the bottom.
My
Yeah, I
question-
saw, can I just clarify, Mike, when it says that we've adopted them, that is the requirements that we added the CCZ 12 dash, oh, I don't remember it, 12-50.
51, 70.
Is that what you're referencing in that part of it? I mean, can we just say that those, in answer to, I get Brian's concern, I agree that we maybe should be
It's-
more
There's
specific.
reflections of it in our landscape ordinance, and again, I might have to look to Dave on this, but is it in our water conservation plan as well when it references we were goals?
I think we could get that more specific for sure. I was under the assumption that when we say we've adopted their conservation goals, we adopted what they required to do the Flip Your Strip program. So we may not be completely aligned with what their goals are, but we are aligned with what they asked us to comply with for the Flip Your Strip program. So I think we could be more specific in that language so that it is a little more precise.
I agree more to our individual rather than saying, we've adopted the Weaver Basin, and what happens if Weaver Basin changes theirs? I mean, I don't want them to be able to change it for me. I still want the right to be able to say
Yeah,
yes
that's
or
a good
no.
point.
Well, you could
So-
say the city has adopted conservation goals consistent with.
Yeah.
Because when we say the city has adopted, to me, that says, oh, it's in the code.
It's past
Right.
tense.
And so I guess I just assumed, I mean, I think good point. My assumption was, oh, it's the CZZ 12-50-51, those numbers, and part of the landscaping requirements. We see them up above in existing city measures.
So what you're saying, Lisa, you could redraft that last sentence to say the city has adopted conservation goals consistent with.
Right. And if you want to say we've adopted conservation goals in our zoning code, because that's where those regulations are.
Sure,
Yeah, we did.
just get it specific, and,
So are you saying strike Weaver Basin water conservancy?
No, just say the city has adopted in its zoning code conservation goals consistent with Weaver Basin's, goals, and the city continues to work towards the state's
Yeah, there
regional
you go.
water.
I like that. Lisa, do you anticipate any issues with that along Robin's point that says, hey, if Weaver Basin changes their goals and we no longer align with them? I mean, are we pretty fail-proof in the fact that we've referenced our own zoning code?
Yeah, I think this general plan is advisory and guidelines, and I think the state, really their intent is to get us to continue to work towards water conservation. And so, yes, I think that language is sufficient for the time that we've drafted it. I think as Mike has explained, we also have adopted a water conservation plan that already meets the state law, both in LUDMA and in the water title. And so we would like, and we have to review that water conservation plan every 5 years. So we would like to mirror the language in the general plan with that, and maybe just have them in one place in the general plan. So we'll be doing that in the next, probably in 2026, I think is when our 5-year review is. So we can take a look at it then as well.
Okay.
Just for the record, I was gonna ask how we do rainwater harvesting, and then it hit me, I think I met my 2,500 on October 4th, just what I collected in my basement, so. But no, seriously, are we gonna have to start putting things under our rain gutters, or?
That was,
I'm seriously, I'm wondering what that entails.
it was an interesting comment brought up. It came up in planning commission as well. It's what the state allows you to retain if you do want to do rain. Harvest. And the question came up, is somebody going around metering to make sure you have 2,500?
Right.
No, I think that's obviously them just making a standard that they felt was appropriate to maintain what you have as rainwater. I don't know otherwise than that. I'm not the specialist in that. But they must feel like that's how much a property owner could harvest, and the rest should go into groundwater to maintain our underwater system.
It's like 50
Also-
gallon tanks.
Yeah, it has to do with like water rights too.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, we're providing great input for when we go to the public hearing. That's why I like some discussion before we go to the public hearing, but any other questions before I go to a public hearing? And then we can come back. Okay, so we will go to a public hearing in regards to general plan amendments in regards to water use and preservation element adoption to the general plan. If you're so inclined to comment, state your name and where you're from. It looks like Mark and Kevin have moved up into the cheap seats, taxpayer seats, so maybe they're going to comment as well too, but I'm just teasing. But just state your name and where you're from, and so that public hearing is now open. Nobody online? Seeing no comments, we will close the public hearing, and we will go to further discussion. Now, we've had a nice discussion so far of some some wording changes to it, and I think that's what you're trying to get at, Councilman Plummer, and that's why we hash these out. You wish you'd have some input from the public, but we don't, so we will hash it out. We have some changes to it. Is there more discussion of what you'd like to see on this before I ask for a motion?
Well, I wonder if it would just be better to table it and allow staff to maybe do some of those changes and revisit this on the next council meeting.
And that's certainly an option, that's always an option, but the question is do we have direction for staff more than what we just already told them to do? Because
I think that,
we're not sending them away, we can't expect them to read our minds.
absolutely not. I think that what I would like to see is not so much of a full-throated endorsement of Weber Basin, but be more Centerville-centric, saying that we have our goals that are in alignment with or consistent with the goals of Weber Basin. I would also think that Councilman Summerhayes' suggestions merit a lot of, to align the ordinance with the state the state code and kind of lay it out in a way that is a little bit more user-friendly and not just compliant, to use the state's verbiage. That would be my thoughts, and break it down, as Spencer Summer, or as Councilman Summerhays stated, so that it can be done that way. And also, again, remember that this is our general plan and not the state's general plan, and make sure that the language within this ordinance reflects that.
So we have one suggestion on language change right now. Do you have any others, Councilman Plummer?
No, thank you for asking.
And I think I'm comfortable, so I don't know if I'll make the motion. It looks like maybe Councilmember Heyman wrote kind of what we were talking about, but I think if we incorporate those changes, a straw poll, I'm happy with that moving forward.
Do you have concerns with would you prefer to see it, as Brian said, with the following more the order of the state ordinance?
I think that can be handled on the, like Lisa said, on 2026, like just as a point of future
Okay.
reference. You know, like Mike said, they've already kind of given a nod that this is going to be acceptable anyway. But I think in the future, it probably makes sense to kind of format it a little differently when we go through it on the next round. So.
For purposes of teeing this up, I'll just go ahead and make a motion that we approve the proposed general plan amendment ordinance number 2025-15 regarding the addition of a water conservation element to the general plan, with the one revision on subsection D to revise it to say in that first sentence, the city has adopted in its zoning code conservation goals consistent with the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District's conservation goals. And then the rest will stay the same.
Second.
We have a second. Okay, further discussion? Okay, if there is no further discussion, I guess we'll vote. Councilman Meekum.
Aye.
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 So that motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mike, for your work on this. All right, should we go to our second business item? This is compensation schedule amendments in regards to a code enforcement officer, which we've discussed in detail in the past through our budget session and through a couple other meetings since then. So, Mike, what do you got for us in addition to what we have in our notes?
Just pretty much what you have in your notes. We've discussed this a lot, both at budget session as well as session we had a couple of meetings ago. The position is shown in the salary wage schedule, as we discussed, and then the job description that we discussed during the work session is also attached, the same as it was during that, with all the clarification guidance from the council. So I guess I would defer to Lisa if there's anything else I missed, Lisa, on this, but I feel like that's pretty much
No, I
it.
think this is just a follow-up to make sure we get it in our compensation schedule.
Have we put out for it yet? Has it gone?
Oh, no, we wouldn't until,
Until it's approved.
yeah.
And just to clarify, compensation range, though we know it's a part-time position because that's the way we classified it, the compensation range is a full-time compensation range. But we
Yes.
do it because it's the hourly range basis, correct?
So divide those numbers in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Divide the
Annual
annual,
numbers, not the.
Yeah, the compensation range, annual numbers, okay. All right, I got you. Further questions? Okay, it is ordinance 2025-14, so we do need a motion on it.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2025-14, amending the compensation schedule to add the new position and compensation range for the position code.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Hearing silence, then you're ready for a vote. Councilman Summerhays going to by right.
Aye.
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 Thank you. That passes unanimously, 5-0. Okay, let's go to item number 3. Thank you, Mike. Procurement policy amendments. We talked about this. This is the one, not where they come back, the $25,000 one. This is in regards to roads, okay? So keep those straight. Updates to bid limits for public works and Class C road projects that we just discussed before. Looks like we have Mark on this and Lisa on this. Do you guys want a presentation on it, or what do you need more on it? Mark, Lisa, anybody want to talk to it?
I'm happy to give a brief summary.
Okay.
We did have a work session, as the mayor's mentioned, and based upon the comments from the council in that work session, I reviewed my notes as well as the audio from that, and so put into these our actual procurement policy, the proposed amendments on this. So I want to be clear, I think the mayor has explained that we are recommending that we increase the bid limits for our public building improvements, public works projects, and Class C road projects, which are major ones, over 2 inches of asphalt, to the state limits, which would be $64,000 for buildings, $200,000 for public works projects, and $359,000 for Class C road projects. And just to be clear, that brings it up. Our recommendation is to stay consistent with the procedure as well. So anything over that has to come to city council for approval, and anything over those bid limits has to follow formal bidding procedures. Anything below that, the city can do informal or formal. Now, there may be some times when staff will say, hey, this is a big project, we're getting more bids these days, or other things, they can do the formal, but we also would have the opportunity to use the informal process. We did add into that informal process that the quotes we have to get 3 quotes under informal process, and they now have to be in writing. Since we're using this for major projects, those will need to be in writing, not just by phone. I did add in a couple places that we're being very clear that this is an exception to whatever the approval limit is. Right now, it's $25,000 for the city council, that this is an exception, these types of projects, for the reasons that we went over last time in our work session. So I think these reflect our discussion, and staff is recommending approval, and I think this will be beneficial for the city. In terms of maybe we will get more bids, and and a faster process.
Do we feel, Mark and Lisa, that by getting more bids, because it was brought up at our last discussion that sometimes we don't get a lot of bids for these jobs. That maybe by getting more bids, that we get more competitive bids? Is that
Right, well,
too?
we can call as many people as we want.
Criteria?
If we only want to call 3, we only have to call 3.
Yeah.
So it's the most flexibility, I guess I should say, for the city.
You know, Gina and I talked about, kind of pointed this out, like in our professional lives, if you ask for a really rigorous bidding process on a small job, people are just gonna turn you away and say,
Yeah.
this is just too much effort. Whereas if it's more informal and they don't know they don't have to go through as many hoops, it's still a legitimate bid process. It's just not as demanding time-wise and resources-wise. And we actually, I think, benefit in the long term because we still get the competitive bid process. It's just more
Right.
informal.
And I think, so having watched this, it costs money for them to put to paper what you're asking for. So if you ask for all these little requirements that they have to comply with, and it costs them $10,000 to put together a $20,000 or $30,000 bid,
Yeah.
it's not worth it, because if they don't get it, they're not gonna.
Profit's
they've-
already gone.
Yeah, they've already lost all the profit, and if there was any to begin with,
Yeah.
so. So I think this is a really important thing. And we're following the same thing that the state's doing, so it makes a lot of sense. Can I make a motion?
You
All right.
betcha.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-18, amending the Centerville procurement policy to update bid limits for public works and Class C road projects.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, further discussion? All right, let's vote, starting with Councilwoman Hayman going to my right.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks, Mark, thanks, Lisa. All right, let's go to item number 4. This is the one that relates to what we discussed as far as what department heads can approve, what finance director then approves, what city manager with council. We had great discussion and input from all of us. Presently, department heads are less than 1,000, the finance director is between 1,000 and 5,000, city manager between 5 and 25, and city council's more than 25. We had various feelings on that, so, I was looking back in the back, I thought you skipped out, man. Sorry, you game tonight that you went to watch? And he's right in front of me, so, hey, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. No, you, excuse me, you introduced this very well. So as Mayor said, the proposed amendments that are before you tonight primarily revolve around the approval limits with some correlating changes in other areas as well. But I just wanted to, as I was looking at the current policy, in the very first paragraph of the procurement policy, it talks about the purpose and scope of the policy. It says the purpose of this policy is to establish procedures and guidelines for the procurement of supplies, services, and construction by the city, and to ensure the equitable, efficient, and economical procurement of all such supplies, services, and construction. So those are the three things that we're really trying to do with this, is the equitable, efficient, and economical. So just a reminder, we don't know the exact date that the current limits were adopted, but it was last updated sometime between 2003 and 2015. And I think we all know that prices of goods and services have dramatically changed since then. So whenever we have a item that we're buying that surpasses $1,000, it gets delayed because it requires one or more approval processes. So really, we're just trying to be more efficient in our purchasing to save time and money. And that's really what we're hoping to accomplish with this. Mayor, I think you mentioned earlier the proposed limits that we would like to move to are to have departments be able to approve up to $5,000, have the finance director approve anything above $5,000 up to $25,000, and then have the city manager approval required for anything over $25,000 up to $50,000, with council approving anything over 50,000, with the caveat that if it's not budgeted, then we would need to bring anything over 25,000 to council. Anything I've missed or you want to add?
No, I think that's good. Again, just based upon our work session discussion.
So I'll start off a little discussion on this. I think that what's being proposed with what prices are now is very reasonable. However, and Brent knows this because I expressed it to him, and believe me, Brent's told me numerous times, he's not offended, whatever we decide here, that it is hard for me as an elected official to say to the public that I'm not going to look at anything unless it's under 50. So that part, for me personally, I like keeping that at the 25. I definitely think you ought to raise it with department heads because $1,000 is nothing. Finance, I was going to throw out tables, but I won't. But that one is the big sticking point to me. That I hate to get away from that because we have a responsibility to the public, and I hate to go to the public. Oh, anything under 50, we don't care because it's a lot of money to people, you know.
So I agree with that. I was actually getting some information on it while I was on the phone, and I had somebody, a lot of people in and out of my house anymore. And so I was telling them, you know, kind of what I was looking at, and they're like, but we voted you in to oversee the money. I don't want you giving anybody the right to spend $50,000 because I'm going to hold you accountable for it. And so I kind of got to talking and thinking about it, and then the thought came up that these are put all in for a reason, and prices have gone up. And, you know, I'm with the mayor. I think we need to raise part of these. I don't think things have really 5 times in that amount of time, but, you know, maybe a few things have. I don't know. But so I called some other cities. Kaysville, their department heads are 5,000. Their financial director is from 5,000 to 10,000, and then the city manager is from 10,000 to 25,000. I felt very good about that. I was really well aligned with that. I thought, I called another city. They were pretty interesting. They're like, you know, we're not worried about our employees, but we're more worried about you city council people. You know, she used a different word, but crap happens. And she said, sometimes you guys forget, and you have approved all of this stuff in the budget, but things do happen. And so when something comes up to you, you can go, oh, that is a place we could cut back if we are seeing that we're running into trouble. But you don't really think about those things if they're not brought to you. So we feel very strongly that they need to be brought to the council. I also called West Bountiful. West Bountiful is just 10,000 for everybody, department heads, city manager, whatever. They're a lot smaller than we are, but I thought that that was interesting that it was just, I mean, it was straight across the board. But for me, I liked Kaysville. I was great with Kaysville. I feel like that, you know, a department heads going from 1,000 to 5,000 is very reasonable. The finance director going from 1 to 5, upping them from, you know, 5 to 10. And then the city manager from 10 to 25. That would be something that I would feel very comfortable with.
Can I address Mayor's comment? Because I think maybe I've misunderstood. You are suggesting that the only time staff could make a purchase over $25,000 is if any member of staff is if it's already been approved by the city council in the budget. Correct? So nobody would be able to spend over 25,000 unless the city council has already approved the expenditure through the budgeting process. And if anything was over 25,000, even for the city manager, for example, if he wanted to spend more than 25,000, he'd still have to come to us first and get approval before he made the expenditure,
If it was not budgeted.
if it was not budgeted.
I noticed that too. So it's written in the paragraph below those numbers, which I missed it the first go round. But we talked about that last time, that, you know, if we had discussed it, you know, when we meet and do that budgetary process, we get some pretty specific numbers at that point. And so if we've approved it in the budget, how, I want to get some feedback from the mayor and from Robin. I like what you said about Kaysville City. And I agree, I want to be able to be accountable. One of the things I mentioned last time is I'd like to, even if we do agree that anything over 25,000 that was, between 25 and 50 essentially, because it got approved during the budgeting process, I guess I still would like to see those come through on some type of summary, like here's what happened in the last month that was approved in the budget that was.
So if you guys are, I may have maybe didn't make myself clear, or maybe I did. Anything that we've approved budget-wise, then I like your suggestion, what you just said. I don't think we need to approve that again, but having some sort of table of what was spent during the last month is good. I guess
It's just nice
I guess
to
in my
know.
mind, I'm thinking an expenditure comes up that you have to have that wasn't in the budget, and you have to take care of it. I just don't want a limit on that of $50,000 without us knowing about it.
Yeah,
agree
I'm very comfortable with, and I think it's covered in the paragraph, correct? Like what the mayor just said is what the way, and Shaylin was confirming if that's the understanding, so.
That's exactly was my understanding.
I just think we need to remember that all cities have this for a reason. And all cities says
Absolutely.
the same thing that ours does, if it's been budgeted. So we're kind of going different than everybody else. I don't want to give more latitude than what we have. Like I said, it has nothing to do with employees. I mean, we have great employees. I want, as a council, to have a little bit more control and know, like I said, if things are going awry or if we're way over, like I said, to me, it just gives us a little more. Like I said, we're not doing anything any other city isn't doing. So we're saying, well, as long as we've done it in the budget, but every other city has it in their budget, and they still have these limits.
But in all fairness, we are approving it between 25 and 50 essentially if it was in the budget. Like
Right,
we're
but
still
throughout the
doing.
year, things change, and that's
But aren't we
why
gonna
they
know
have
that?
this.
Because we get the reports every month from Nate, and if I notice a drop in sales tax that is like, and he points it out really well, if I notice a drop in sales tax, I'm gonna be saying, where do we need to start cutting? Like, what is
Where do we need to
amend our
optional
and we
But
can
this
take
is
off the
why it's
table?
coming back, just like I said, I just feel like this is what everybody's city's doing. This is how it is done. And to take it and double it from 25 to 50,000 is humongous.
But there's a couple of things we don't know. We don't know when Kaysville City last adjusted theirs.
They just did it a year ago, less than a year ago.
Okay, but we've only compared two cities.
Right, but I'm just saying, but
Kaysville-
every city, whatever their limits are, whatever they feel comfortable with, there is a reason. To me, I'm not willing to double ours. So even if ours was, if we were already 50,000, I'm not gonna go to 100,000, but I might go to 55,000. But I feel like we're really jumping in, and we need to remember this has a purpose. So I feel like we're mitigating the purpose by saying, well, we've already approved it in the budget, so it doesn't matter. Well, if that was the case, all cities wouldn't have this. It would be like, if it's been approved in the budget, go for it. Every city has this. Every city has their limits. Our city has had this, and it's worked, and we're just now saying, we need a little bit more. It's not working, and I totally understand and agree with that. And like I said, I have no problems with, like I said, I think the finance director from 10 to 25, and then the city manager up to 25.
May I offer just a thought?
Brent, before you get there, because I just want to clarify what Mayor is asking. Mayor, are you asking if there may be a dual track methodology to the approval, whereas if it's already in the budget, it doesn't necessarily have to go to approval, but you want to table each, like a monthly summary of any expenditure
Yeah.
above that amount, and then there's a
My comment was going to
secondary-
address your question.
Okay.
And we'll let Brad talk before he says that.
I was just going, as a potential compromiser that would be able to provide a motion.
Well, so I will
I'm
share.
going back to my audit days of dual controls.
Yeah, okay,
you know, so-
yeah.
So the caveat that's being proposed here, I don't like. I think it overly complicates the issue, but this was just in response to what was the discussion in our last meeting. This condition actually creates challenges as I think about, okay, was this budgeted for? I mean, it's a green car, now it's a blue car, or it's a car, now it's a motorcycle. I mean, what actually is approved in the budget and what shifts have to change in what we purchase? Where does that qualify that it's budgeted for, it's not budgeted for? And it does create some challenges for me to decipher, is this a budget item or not? And I don't like that, to be honest with you. So what Councilor Ramika is proposing is not unreasonable. Again, the amounts were decided not what other cities are doing, but just looking at the efficiencies of our staff and what we deal with and what we purchase. I think it's good to know what Kaysville's doing. Moroni had a $1,000 limit, if you want to, and their council meetings were just riddled with just discussing every penny and every dollar, and they didn't discuss policy at all. When I was down there in Ephraim, that's kind of what came up, right? So it depends on what you want to focus on, whether it's 25,000 or 50,000. We're just bringing 50,000 because that's where we're seeing the dollars go, and sometimes we need to purchase things. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, that's okay. It just, your meetings, you get informed, and there might be some discussions on those costs. We don't mind. We're just trying to propose something that makes it efficient for staff. That's really it. The condition actually, I think, overly complicates this issue. So
you'd feel good with, if we went with the one?
I definitely want to increase the department heads.
Right.
You know, to 5,000 at a minimum. Whether the finance director goes to 10 or 15.
I think we should do
that could be debated.
I think we should go to at least 10. I'm fine with that.
The finance director, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
from 5 to, 5 to 10, because you're doubling. That's a lot, because this isn't something that can't be done again in a few years. I mean, this isn't like we're doing it for a lifetime, and we're doubling it. So, you know, we double water rates, we feel like we've really done a lot. So I feel like, you know, we're 5 timesing the department heads, we're doubling the finance director, and we're leaving poor Brant with what he gets.
Yeah, so let me back up a little bit. So the biggest thing that slows this down are POs. And I'll let Nate talk about that, whether it's 5, 10,000 for the finance director. But the POs is when you have to get that approval before you can spend, and that slows it down by, I don't know, a couple of weeks to purchase
So it's going to
something.
take the department time to write a PO. You can ask Bryce and Dave how much they love those. And Will's here too. So that's going to take time. Then it's going to come up to at least my desk for approval, which is great most of the time. I did take 2 days off last week and came back to a stack of POs. So essentially purchasing was halted for everything over $1,000 when I was on vacation. I sign it, then it goes to Brant, and he gets to it when he can, and then it gets passed back to the department when they get the final okay.
Or you have to wait for city council.
Or we have to wait for city council if it's over
But only if it's
25,000.
over 25,000.
Right. My point, so there is one thing that Brant said that does resonate with me, and that is, I want to make sure that, I'm fine to be here until midnight. That does not bother me in the least. That's why I'm here on Tuesday nights. But I want to make sure that we're making sure we have time for the policies too. Can we up the 25 at all at any comfort level?
But
for
how
this?
many things, I mean, you're not talking like how many of those would we have that are over 25,000 but not over 50? That, I mean,
And
between
would
25
we
and
want
50.
that to go through without our approval? I think that is something that I'm concerned about. It's not about anybody else other than us doing what we need to do as our duty to the people of Centerville to make sure that we're reviewing those.
But I don't think we're talking about something every city council, not even one thing. We're probably talking about one thing every 2 or 3 months. I don't think we're going to have, so it's not like.
We got more than that going on, right?
But this isn't the.
Nate has a list.
How many POs
How many?
have you done for 25?
I do want to, I think that's a good point. I want to hear what.
So my list, it didn't go above 25,000 because you guys currently see those as part of your summary action. So I did send Jennifer a list, she can pull that up, for the lesser amounts, but I didn't record anything over 25,000 because
So this is.
you guys were already aware of those.
This is just since when?
Last week and a half.
So these are the purchases made within the last week and a half.
Okay.
That's a lot of fertilizer.
So all of those would have been covered under under 25.
So all of these are getting currently hung up through the approval process. So depending on where we set the finance director and city manager limit, I put them in numerical order there.
So you'd only would have had 3 coming to you.
Brant would have had,
Half of them, department heads would have been able to approve.
And I see, just so you know, I do see every purchase that goes out, so it's not
But
even
so
if
what
I
I'm
don't
saying is
have
if we
approval, I
up
still
his
see
to
it.
10,000, then that would only be 3 that would have to go beyond him.
For the last week and a half.
The last week.
Correct.
did you have any over 25,000?
In the last week, I don't think so. I was gonna look at our agenda tonight. to
But
remind-
it would have saved, it would have
We've got a
saved,
couple on the, like, we've got a couple of bid awards.
But the bid
1, 2,
awards are
3.
different,
We have rifles being purchased and body cameras, those are,
because that's what
I
we
was gonna
just
say, I'm
voted
just looking
for.
at it, he's right, it's body rifles and, body cameras and rifles, sorry.
with the body rifle.
That didn't come out well.
Nate, can I ask you a question? And I think I asked this question last time we discussed this, but will you remind me? Obviously, we as elected representatives want to ensure that public funds are being spent well and in accordance with city wishes and that money is not being mismanaged, right? And my understanding from some of the questions that city council is asking is driven by that concern. Will you remind us, if we do approve the higher amounts that you've requested, what checks and balances do you have in place so that if, in the event that somebody was to push through an expenditure that wasn't approved by the city council, or that we found like, hey, we didn't want that, what kind of checks and balances do we have in place under this new proposed system to ensure that the public's money is being spent consistent with, what's been approved and not frivolously?
Yeah, so our first check is requiring a W-9 for every vendor, so that we have a tax ID number that matches the vendor. And then our invoice needs to match what they've given us on a W-9. So that's our first check. Any payment that leaves, we have to have 2 signers. Normally, that's myself and our city treasurer, but Brant and Mayor also have check signing authority. So you're always having 2 people sign before any money leaves the building. On top of that, so I mean, that gives me a chance for even the small purchases under $1,000, I'm still seeing what we're purchasing and what we're buying, what we're spending. We give Brant every week, our AP clerk gives him a list of all expenditures, so he's able to see and review it, and he does every week. So even though it doesn't require approval to make the purchase, to buy the item, we are still seeing and reviewing as staff every purchase that we make as a city.
So if I'm, just to summarize then, if we were to implement a system that has been proposed by some here, that if a purchase is above a certain amount, I'm gonna randomly pick, say, $25,000. Any expenditure over $25,000, we get a summary report at the city council level. Then it seems to me like there would be 3 potential checks, notwithstanding the W-2 or the W-9s and whatnot. Number 1, you see every check before it goes out. So you're gonna be able to look and see what the check is and what it's for and where it's going. So you are the initial check. The second check is Brant. He gets a list, an AP list every single week, so he can double check every expenditure that's going out. And the third check would be, we as a city council, assuming that we do this, would get a list of whatever the threshold dollar is saying, and here's what we've spent each month under these new systems. Am I missing a check? Or is that sort of the?
Yeah, so we didn't put the
Yeah.
list, that's not in there currently.
I'm throwing in the
but,
list on top of it, but if we assume, if we were to implement such a system, that would be 3 checks? You, Brant, city council?
So I guess I'm not as, I'm concerned, I definitely want accountability, but I'm not as concerned about that as something is brought to our attention, and some of us, 5 of us, all feel differently about that purchase. I mean, he could say today, I want this, and I could say, oh, I think you need it, and you could say, I think that's a little bit Cadillac, you can have a step-down computer. So that's where I'm saying we're giving that up as a council. You're saying, give me a list after it's bought. Well, my kids would have loved that. You can have this much money, buy what you want, and give me a list after you bought it. No, I'd kind of like to know where your money's going. So that's where I feel like I am an official that's representing the citizens, I should be willing to put in the time to know where money is going over 25,000. 25,000 is a lot of money. And so I'm fine with raising all these others so that we don't have this whole list. I mean, we're gonna take away almost all of that list by doing what we're doing and get it down to be, it's gonna be reasonable. But mine is not so much worrying about our staff or people, it's, like I said, there's not a right or a wrong answer on what you're buying, but I want them to bring it to me, and then I want to decide, sometimes things can change throughout the year. So over 25,000, I would not feel, I couldn't vote for over 25,000.
So,
I was just gonna say, I just took a quick peek back to August. I didn't go any further because I only had a couple of minutes, and I should have done this earlier. There's only one item that would, with the new recommended policy of 50,000, there's only one item that we would have missed reviewing since August. So I guess if we want to leave it at 25,000, it was one in the last 3
And
to 4 months.
that's what I'm saying. It isn't like.
The
when you-
rest of them all would have come to us because
Right.
they were all way over 50.
And that's what I'm saying when you're saying, well, I don't want to clog up city council meeting. No, we're talking about.
it might,
Three on
A
your agenda
minimum.
tonight.
There are, but I think 2 of them would have still come. It's the.
that's because we
it's-
didn't have a meeting 2 weeks ago.
Right, so, and that's the other thing too, is when we do have a canceled meeting, then that can, I mean, then you've been waiting more like a month, right?
But most things, they're not really waiting. I mean, they're ahead of that.
I'm
If
fine
you're
with
gonna
it,
spend
I'm
that
saying
kind of
there is, I think there's just the one item tonight, everything else was over
Yeah, I mean,
50,000 that came to us.
A lot of people won't even hold a bid for more than 30 days, so you do miss out on it if you miss a meeting. It's
Brad,
tricky.
if we change this, and we increase the limits as staff has proposed for everyone except for the city manager, which is proposed up to 50, and we keep that capped at 25 for you, does that cause you a lot of heartburn?
No, again, I'm not necessarily worried. Again, Mayor and I have discussed this often where,
We have.
honestly, it's where you're comfortable. We're just trying to find a way to be efficient and not bog down some of our purchases, particularly those that are already in the budget. That's a conversation we've been having for years regarding purchasing police vehicles. As an example, it's already approved, you're already aware of it, and the purchase needs to happen. Slowing some of these things down does create some delay. We've had some challenges purchasing with a trailer, right, Bruce, and things like that, that it's delayed it, and we do see a little bit of a rising cost. Some other items, I think, Mark, that we've dealt with Public Works vehicles because of a potential delay. So, again, that's all we're proposing, but if it's not comfortable to you, 25,000, it's not unreasonable. We'd rather you be in the know and feel comfortable what it is. Maybe it's not 50,000, maybe you're okay with 30,000 this year, or 35. It doesn't have to be 50, but those limits for the POs is our biggest hurdle right now that we need to overcome and make that far more efficient, because it is delaying the simple things of getting things done.
So with this current list that we have, with the new 5,000 for department heads, no POs up to line item 9, correct?
Correct.
Because they're all under 5, okay.
Correct.
I mean, I'm willing to try this, and like Robin said, we can always change it down the road. Like, maybe that helped, maybe you in a year can say.
What are you thinking for the other?
I am fine with the over 5,000 and then 5 to 10 for the finance director.
And I'm not even opposed to that going to 15. I don't know if that does anything for Nate.
I'm fine with
I
15
was
on
gonna
that
say
one.
5 to 15, and then
5
if you
to
did
15
15
and
to
then do-
30 or 35?
Fine if it's 25.
I'm okay with 30 if we want to go.
I'd prefer to stay at 25.
And that's okay too. But there, so that way I give 5,000 and it's 10,000 and 10,000. Again, I'm okay with it being at 10. Just if, remove
And
one
I'm
little extra
okay
layer.
with the finance director. I could go 5 to 10, or I could go 5 to 15. I
Gina,
could go.
I'm fine with the.
Spencer, you guys were okay on the finance director from 5 to 15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Robin, you could go 5 to 15? And on the city manager, the two of you could go to 30?
Yeah.
Spencer, Gina?
Yeah.
You would only go to 25, Robin?
I would much prefer to go to 25.
I would be comfortable going to 30.
Okay. I'm fine to leave it at 25 if we want to let it, I mean, I don't.
Going back and forth.
I think we should stay at
No,
25.
the reason why is because I am seeing a pattern,
Somebody
and
call the vote.
I'm not sure it's that many more items, is I guess what I'm saying.
I don't think it is either. Like I said, I think we could leave it and try it for a year, and they can come back to us and say,
I
look,
just think if you're gonna
this
increase
is a
the
problem.
others, you can raise it from 25 to 30.
I do
Just
think,
as a-
I
just
do
as a
think
matter
increasing
of-
the others makes a huge difference to, like, kind of the workload that you're talking about getting it.
That's what I think.
Getting
That's why
the-
I'm willing to go to the 15.
I'm just thinking
I can
if
go
you're
to the
doing
15 if we can
commensurate
stick with the 25.
I don't think it's gonna make that much difference
I don't
between
think so either,
25
but
and
it's a
30,
recognition
but
that all the other scales also
we
increased.
could let it sit for a year and then see, report back to us, Nate, in a year and say, this
Yeah.
helped a lot, or this is still,
Sure, and over the, next to the course of the year, we'll pay attention to what those differences are between the 25 and 50 and give you
And I'd be
maybe
glad.
a better report in a year.
I think that'd be good.
And then you could figure out where that balance is, whether it's 30, 35, or keeping it 25 entirely.
I'm gonna be honest, I feel like a lot of the things that do come to us tend to be over, like, they tend to usually be quite a bit more. That said, if we'd have gone to 30, I think it would have helped with the water well when we were in such a tight time frame to get that fixed, and it was needing city council approval for the new pumps and stuff. I mean, I know that was an issue. And so that's why I'm like, 30 might help on a situation like that where you have a time constraint and a well that was completely down.
It's not a huge difference between it. It gives staff a little bit more flexibility. I appreciate your comments, Brent, because I was not thinking through this issue with the budget. That does
Yeah.
create maybe an overcomplication. Like, I know that it was coming from your recommendation was coming from a good place because you're trying to address our concerns. But in trying to address our concerns, we may have like thoroughly overcomplicated it beyond what was necessary. So with your clarification, I would be inclined to take out that and just, go 5,000 for department heads, 15,000 for finance director. I would still go 30 for city manager and 50 for city council, period.
Would be 30 if.
No, it'd be 30
It
for
would
city
be
council.
30 for
30,
city
sorry.
council.
She
Yeah,
meant-
that's
she
true.
meant- she meant to say
30.
that, I
I
did.
meant 30.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't put my note there on my sheet.
Okay, so do we have a motion along those lines?
So I'm gonna I'm gonna move that we amend the Centerville procurement policy to update approval limits for expenditures through resolution number 2025-19 by increasing approval limits to the following: department heads, less than 5,000, finance director, less than 15,000,
Or
city
between.
manager. No, because it's up to, right? Didn't you recommend increasing approval limits between those things? So aren't we looking at the upper limit?
Yeah, but the department head is up to 5, and then between 5,000
So
and
the
1.
finance director can only issue something that's 5,000, but if it's 4,999, they can't?
No, finance director's gonna issue
It just doesn't
between
require my approval.
5,000 and 1 penny, I guess, and 15,000.
So you set the range
Nobody had,
for the next level of approval.
How's our policy look right?
Is that consistent with the way, Nate? Is that how you guys are reading that?
I think you're both saying the same thing.
I think we are too.
I mean, it still goes to you, yes, but
Anything under 5,000 is the department head can approve. Nate does
Right,
not see
but what
it.
about Nate?
And then
Can
Nate
Nate
sees
approve
5 to
something
15,000.
that can-
Under.
May is a department head.
Yeah.
Are a department head. Okay, so I see
Correct.
that it funnels up.
yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna start over. Thank you for the clarification. I was like, this makes no sense that Nate could spend over 5, but not under 5. Okay, here we go. Are we ready? I am going to move that we amend the Centerville procurement policy to update approval limits for expenditures through resolution number 2025-19 with department heads less than 5,000, finance director between 5,000 and 15,000, city manager between 25.
No, 15.
15 and 30? We lowered that to 15, sorry, I missed that. And to city council, more than 30. Did I miss it?
You got that right.
You got it.
All right, you should not allow me to make this motion. Okay.
Does she have support on that with the second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
I was gonna wait for you.
You're gonna wait for,
We got a second.
I'm just contemplating
Yeah, you can contemplate,
We've got 5 minutes to
you're gonna vote, so you can
Gonna vote.
contemplate that.
quite a bit of discussion, but I'll give you further discussion if any, but if not, then I'm starting voting with Councilwoman Hurst going to our right.
Oh, geez, you didn't give her any time to
I
think
didn't
about
give
it.
me any time. I'm gonna say aye, and the reason that I'm gonna agree to I wanna just have this on the record, that the 30,000, I am comfortable with because of the fact that there has been more inflation than that in the last 10 years, and it appears that you can definitely ascertain that this was changed sometime 2015 or earlier. So I think I'm comfortable with that.
So that's an aye with that?
Yes, that's an aye.
Description.
Sorry, I did lead with the I apologize.
Yes, you
Then
did.
I followed up with a reason.
Councilman Palmer, you're next.
I am comfortable with the department head's number, the finance director. I believe that the larger purchases really need to be coming to us, and $25,000 was what I was set for, and so I'm going to vote nay.
Nay?
I'm going to vote nay for, 100% the department heads and the finance director, but I feel like we should stay at 25,000. I think that that's reasonable to what for our citizens.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so it passes 3-2, but it was a great discussion and to get where we were going. Does that help with the PO problem a bit?
Yes, that will help.
Okay.
Certainly does.
Oh, I see soft claps and thumbs up.
Now, whenever we adjourn tonight, this is before midnight. Remember, Councilwoman Hurst is here till midnight.
I'm here as long as I am needed.
Yeah, there you go. As long as you're needed.
Yeah, I'm not staying if you don't need me.
All right, let's go to summary action, okay? Now, we have 8 items on summary action. We have people here to answer. We have our department heads, including Kevin here, if you want to wrap them all into one, or we can hit each one. Summary action means we kind of wrap them in, and you can ask questions about whatever concerns you, but are you okay with doing that, or do you want to?
I just want to say it's amazing on item number 3 that we got 12
Right?
bids. That's like,
I was
So many.
excited
and
and
the
also a
range,
little
the
worried.
range is pretty crazy too, from
The range was-
195 to 78,000. So I mean,
That's the Paris Creek
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Kevin, do we think they can make money on that? That was so far
That's
below.
that's not a question that we have.
We don't care. Never mind, we don't care.
I mean, Tom Stewart Construction, they're big boys. They can,
I don't understand.
they can.
You weren't able to bid on this, so what do you care?
Tom Stewart's been around the block. They've done work, so.
They might be mobilized somewhere close or something.
Yeah, they're on
Kevin's
site.
not sure how he's going to
Oh,
answer
they're
that.
on site.
They're on site,
Oh,
so they do
okay.
have an advantage as far as mobilization.
Oh, that's great.
It's awesome to have that many bids.
I think that's the most, is that the most
Most
we've
we've probably
seen
ever
that I
seen.
can remember since
12?
I've been on council?
Yeah.
That was quite a few. That was great. I was happy to see that. And also hoping we're not running into a recession.
All of these compiled together.
I will.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the agenda. That's better.
Just to be clear, on the summary action, it includes the police department ones as well, correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so I'll lead us out, Mayor, if that's okay.
Is there questions?
Unless there's questions, sorry. I
If
don't
you're,
wanna-
are you going to cover all of them?
I'm gonna cover all of them if everybody's comfortable with that. If
Because
they're-
I want everybody
I don't
to
wanna,
I am.
I don't wanna
be
cut
com-
anybody
be
off if they
comfortable
got questions.
with all 8. If you have any questions on any of the 8, I want it to be asked.
I appreciate you for taking the effort to do the motion, because we all saw what happened the last time I tried.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Okay, so
No questions from any council members? Okay, I'll start us off then. I am going to make a motion that we approve the following. Approve bond reduction number 2 and start the warranty for Centerville Flex subdivision in the amount of $78,800. That we approve the bond reduction number 3 for the Centerville Flex site plan, buildings number 2 and 3 in the amount of $120,000. That we approve the bid award for Parish Creek PDO amended culinary water line to Tom Stewart Construction in the amount of $77,887. that we approve the bid award for the lift station and subdrain relocation on Frontage Road project to Smooth Stone Construction in the amount of $1,726,037.31, contingent upon the UDOT supplemental agreement being executed. That we approve the bid award for the Parish Creek Waterline amended parts to Core and Main in the amount of $39,498.18. That we approve the bid award for fluoride removal for the well houses to Safety Clean in the total amount of $34,411.90. That we approve the purchase of body camera equipment for the police department in the amount of $87,913.75. And finally, approve the purchase of 22 patrol rifles and suppressors for the police department in the amount of $38,382.
Do we need a second?
Very well done, yeah. I need
Second.
Got a second on that. All right, further discussion?
I
Wow,
have
we
one-
got
I
a
have
few,
One question for the chief. How long will those rifles last us?
Depends on how much they have to get used.
Will and Chief are excited. They're coming with
They're
notes.
both
and-
coming.
Both coming,
Yeah,
so.
no motorcycles this time. But, so the manufacturer's recommendations, what they expect for the barrels on these rifles, and the barrel is only one component of it, but they rate those for 10,000 rounds. And at the rate we train and go through them for just the regular officer, not any specialty units, that's probably about 5 years' worth of training.
How long ago was it we replaced them before?
We've never replaced them. The ones that we have now are the ones that we purchased the first time before we had any.
And when
We
was
didn't
that?
buy all 22 all at once. We initially bought, I think, something like 10 one year, and then came back the next year and maybe got 5 more, and so on from there. And then we've also
About how long was the first ones bought? How long ago?
I admit that our records are not good going back then. We've improved in our record keeping since then, but we think that that first batch could be 15 years old. I became a firearms instructor about that time, and it seems like they were about brand new, or we got them right before then. So. And, yeah, I tried to do some math. The one that I use, since I came on SWAT about 9 years ago, I figure it probably has over 40,000 rounds through it. So,
Is it still the same one?
yeah. So, they are very durable. They will last a long time. Yeah. So. Any other
I
questions?
totally support it. I was just curious. Actually, it was less money than I thought it would be, and I thought, so 38,000, is that, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years? I just was curious as to when we'd be looking at. Obviously, the next time it will be a higher number.
The next go-around? We will keep better records, but I'd say 5 to 10 years.
That's great. I think that's,
What,
Maybe do you consider like a rotation, like the vehicles, do you rotate at some point? I don't know, we don't want to rotate them out early, but so that we don't have big lump sum payments? Maybe they're 5,000 or whatever.
Yeah, so
pace
maybe
them.
do like 5 per year,
Yeah,
or
that's-
set a budget of 5,000.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
just do a portion of them every year.
Right.
That's a good idea. I think we can make that happen.
You can kind of think through that as you budget in future years to do it on a rotating basis, similar to the vehicles. I know it's a lot smaller amount, but it follows that consistent pattern of trying to rotate.
kind of being able to predictively
Yeah.
account for the budget,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
their
something that,
use as well.
It's
Well,
a
yeah.
great idea, and it's not a new idea. We've talked about that amongst the instructors as far as well, hey, should we maybe ask for a few now and then just try to ask for a few? The answer they came back to me was that because these were purchased at different times, some officers practice more than others. And so it's hard for us to know exactly how many rounds have been fired through a certain gun. And then as officers leave, so maybe you have an officer who doesn't shoot really at all, and then he leaves and gets replaced with an officer who shoots quite a bit more. So it's really hard to know how many rounds they get. So they felt like if we could just start with a baseline of, hey, let's just switch them all out now and start with all new ones, then we'll keep better track and then start on a rotation process like that going forward. That's what they wanted to do. That'd be great. So.
Yeah, I like that. Can I ask about the body cameras? I noticed they were a little bit less than what we budgeted for earlier.
All right, so I'll take this one. The body cameras are through Motorola. We currently have a contract with Motorola to provide cloud storage, which we pay annually. The body cams we're buying now come with cloud storage with them. Right, so basically we're looking at duplicating payment for cloud storage, so they gave us a credit for the cloud storage,
Okay.
which saved us a lot of money.
Okay. Yeah, it was enough that I was like, oh, something happened.
All right, that I will say that on Lieutenant Barnes' part, that was a lot of negotiating on his part, make sure that it was equitable and we weren't double paying for anything. And negotiating with Motorola is never easy, so kudos to him for putting up with it. He probably.
Thank you.
It wasn't that bad. I just said, hey, we already paid you guys this much. And they said, oh, yeah. So
Good job.
it was good, yeah.
Okay.
And any other questions on body cameras? Okay, and then future Councilman Banger brought up a question about rifles to me on the side here about the suppressors. He asked if our current rifles have suppressors on them, because there is an additional cost to add a suppressor, and our current rifles do not. So it is an upgrade that we're doing on these rifles. In fact, from the first time we purchased these rifles, starting back 15, however many years ago, there has been a lot of technology that have improved rifles. One of them being the sights, right? We have better optics on them now. We have a lot better lights, and now we have suppressor options that are a lot more affordable. And so historically, our SWAT officers have received the suppressors, which are they look kind of like silencers. This is kind of what they're called in movies, but they're not really silencers. And Lieutenant Barnes knows a lot more about this than me. But the suppressors are added onto rifles now because it does greatly reduce the volume, right, on the shots. And when you're dealing with like an indoor environment, which can happen within schools or anywhere else, if you get in a firefight inside of a school and you don't have suppressors, you're going to probably have some deaf officers or some permanent hearing loss. And so the suppressors definitely help on that. Plus, with the technology now, correct me if I'm wrong, the gas, a lot of the gases from the rifle get pushed straight out and away from the officer rather than out and around. And so the officer's actually ingesting less chemicals. Does that sound right?
Yeah, you got it.
And so, yeah, so each rifle is slightly more expensive now because of that addition, but one that we felt was important because of the health and safety components it adds. And then we shorten the rifles and then adds the suppressor on, so it actually ends up the same size rifle that we have right now, which is important because we do have a rifle where we added a suppressor onto a full-length rifle, and the thing is like a mile long, and it gets very difficult to maneuver around indoors and clanging on things.
So it's a shorter barrel?
It is, yes.
Can I ask one more question this is about fluoride removal, so.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer that.
Awesome, I love it. Dave, I'm noticing that the award is to Safety Clean, but it looks like all the quotes we have are from Clean Harbor?
Yeah, so Safety Clean is
Is it the same?
It's just a subsidy under the Clean Harbors umbrella. There's only 3 that were state contract to even give us these prices. You saw the pricing from the one. Clean
Oh crud, what's the other one? Clean Harbors, Clean Earth is the other one, and they never responded after 3 attempts.
Okay, so we tried to get it, but we've
Tried to
got
have all
what we
three,
got.
and they're all state contract. Some of them, the difference in the bidding was just, it's labor-based, how long they think it's gonna take them to actually pump it out. They've gotta go to each site, dispose of it all individually.
Okay. So each quote was, I had assumed that each quote was for each well
Yeah,
house.
yeah, so the other one just did it as a blanket, here's all the sites combined, that for their record keeping and for their disposal of the hazardous material, they have to have each site be its own independent site, that's why you see 5 of them, but collectively it came to that margin.
Sorry, I was just looking through my questions and realized I had failed to ask that before the motion, but
Don't you?
that sounds great.
So, correct me if I'm, oh, no, you need to vote on this before I make a comment. Okay. We have a motion and a second on the table. Further questions? Councilman Plummer?
Aye.
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 Those pass 5-0. Okay, so let me just clarify, to see if I get this wrong. So if we had changed that policy to 50, is there 3 or 4 things that wouldn't have been brought to us tonight?
The rifles would not have been brought to you.
The rifles
But
and
again, your water lines and all that are
The
under
fluoride?
a different code.
those are under the bid award, like
Those
the-
were under the first thing we did.
It's not so much sometimes that we are monitoring each dollar amount, we have to see the dollar amount, but it's knowing about what's going on in policy as well too. And this fluoride impacted us throughout the county, and we've all had an opinion on that, and Gina obviously had a question on it. So that's part of the reason I was.
Well, and
gonna
I
bring
like
up
the
in that
rifles
discussion
coming
as
to
well,
us,
too.
so our officers know that we support them. They see this, they see us here, we're grateful for what they do. I want them to know I support them. And so for those reasons, I think it lets our employees realize.
All of those items with what we passed would have still been here, because we went to 30,000, not 50.
Right.
I'm saying if we had gone 50.
But if you'd have gone to, if the mayor said if we went to 50, the rifles
So-
wouldn't have been
You're
part
right,
of
you
that.
did say 50.
And,
Yeah.
and Mayor, Brant brought up this great point, because after he talked about, okay, if you're trying to benchmark against budget, you don't know in some fashion if you've gotten to budget or not in certain levels. But the other thought that came to me, and I don't know how the council would feel about this, would be, at least on the South Davis Rec Center Board, each in our monthly meeting, we review and approve all the expenditures. I'm not suggesting we do that by any means, but if the council wants to just be aware of certain expenditures over a certain amount, just so they know what's going on in the city, I'm sure Nate can just do a quick search and says, hey, from this dollar limit to this dollar limit, and just include it in our packet that says, hey, these are the things that were purchased during the month, just so that council members are aware. I mean, that's just a point of information.
We do the same thing with the South
Okay.
Davis Sewer District. We approve all
Mosquito baiting,
disbursements, and we do
Mosquito
go
baiting, too.
through them, not one by one, but, you know, they point out anything that is unusual. There's some things that are, like, chemicals at a sewer district are super expensive, so we don't always talk about the chemical.
The chlorine
expense,
at a rec center, yeah,
'cause
it's 78
costs-
grand.
It costs a lot we're in the 60 or
Yeah.
70,000 a month for chemicals at the sewer
You
plant.
should see how much it costs to kill mosquitoes.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
I bet.
Anyways.
All righty. Minutes, minute approval, review and approval of October 21st work session and October 21st city council. Any changes on those, or do we have a motion for approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Council member Hayman has a report on her assignments, and I also think that Councilman Summer is going to tell us a little bit about truth and taxation that I wanted to know about from the rec board last night.
Great.
'Cause that'll tie into my comments as well, too.
All right, well, I will be short. I was going to make a comment that nobody should be seeing mosquitoes, except I heard that at least some of us are still seeing mosquitoes, so I am making no warranties or
Killed one
representations
yesterday in
about
my
One was
house.
flying around.
mosquitoes.
Yep.
Okay, but they're soon going to be dead, is all I will say about
Got a
that.
very warm fall.
Okay, so no really major developments on the mosquito front. With regard to the Whitaker Museum Board, I just wanted to remind everybody that we do the Pioneer Christmas every year. This is where we have a Santa that will come if you'd like to get, have your kids or grandkids meet Santa, get photos. You need to make reservations. You can do that through the Whitaker Museum, but there will be Santa there December 2nd, 4th, 9th, and 11th. So I encourage
Inside
you
the
to
museum?
sign up, yes.
Okay.
So that's a fun thing that we provide for our residents.
Can you say that again? The 4th, the 9th, the 11th?
The 2nd.
Oh, 2nd.
The 4th, the 9th, and the 11th.
Okay,
Just make
perfect.
sure that you get a reservation.
Is there a charge for it?
No, I don't believe there is. I could be wrong. Where's Bryce? I don't believe that there is.
I wouldn't think there would be.
Yeah, none of the information I have says that there's a charge, so I believe that it's free.
I still wanna put that out there.
You just need to get your reservation in. That's it, that's all I have.
Thank you. Spencer?
So similar to what was presented to us in a previous meeting on the mosquito abatement, truth and taxation, that will be on our next agenda. I sent out an email to Brand, Mayor, and staff just to make sure we comply with state code and are doing the right process there. We have approved a tentative budget a week ago yesterday, and then last night we had our truth and taxation hearing. I provided the council just a brief summary of that. It was a 5% increase to the subsidy levy. Next year, the bond levy, the bond portion that paid for the original facility rolls off, but we still need operational subsidy. It was a 5% increase. The last increase was 2 years prior, equal to about 18 cents for the median priced household throughout the interlocal area, which was $623,000 resident value.
18 cents per month?
Per month.
Per month.
18 cents per month. Yep, exactly. So that passed 6-1 last night, and then we'll have our final budget be presented on our next meeting in December. So any questions that you have? I sent out the email. I didn't get any. Again, it was for point of information, not for point of discussion on that email, and now that we're in a public session, I'm happy to entertain any questions that you have as it relates to that. Okay.
Who voted no?
Suzette Jackson. But it was a no with the same sentiment that individuals that approved it gave, and that's we are at the still at the very early innings of a broad financial overhaul at the rec district. So still got years of to turn kind of the financials around there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other pressing matters in the other committees reports? All right, mayor report. I have a distinct goal in, we're past mid-November, that by the end of the year, with some changes to city council, I'm going to have to come up with that schedule again where I assign you to, and me to committees and boards, okay? I'm going to do my best to assign to where I feel is appropriate, to where your expertise is, your skills, and having to learn a little bit always doesn't hurt either, okay? So with that said, I'm also going to look to get these committees staffed fully. I'll have a Parks and Rec member that I'll present in 2 weeks. I just didn't get to it tonight. So I need to hear from you. I work with Jennifer, and we know when people have expired, but I need to hear from you too if there's some community members that aren't participating, because I want to get all these boards set up and staffed fully as well too. So whoever takes over in January on these boards can hit the ground running, and the board's excited, and the council liaison's excited, and staff's excited. So that's a goal for me to do. Okay, so please reach out to me. Does that make sense? What I've asked, where I can help you out in what you're doing right now. Next thing is, it's, as we discussed, the purchase limits tonight, it reminded me that I just want to remind you, I spent my day today catching up on city emails, and the city manager report that is put out, Brent reaches out. Not only does he have good material in there, but each of the department heads has good material in there as well too. So I don't know if you're going through it in detail or not, but I encourage you to, because they give you some fabulous detail of what's happening in your city. I mean, knowing things like how many burials we had, you know, what the calls police went out on. I mean, and not to tank how things are going on, what's going on with the general plan. I mean, trying to hit all our departments, but it's very useful information. So please look at that. Now, the other thing I just mentioned that I'm going to go the one day of this. I don't of the National League of Cities and Towns is in town. I'm going to go to one day of it, and that's happening later this week. And I just want to thank everybody and their participation in the election as well too. I want to thank our incoming council member Rick Bagoter, who's here, and he was at the planning commission meeting last week. I'm impressed that he's here and listening and wants to be up to speed with what's going on, and I appreciate that as we go through the changes. And I have no doubt that Spencer will go all the way through the end, because you can see how engaged he is, and I like that as well too. You never like somebody to get trunky, even though you can do it. Just don't show it, okay? So thank you. And that's my report. Any questions for me? Okay, Brant.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. As Mayor, you're talking about back in your day of auditing, I was reflecting on my days. I actually interned for Lieutenant Governor's office when it was Governor Herbert at the time, Lieutenant Governor Herbert, and elections was a big deal, so I got involved in campaign finance disclosures, elections, and we were doing mail-in ballots before it was cool, right? And I mean, I think Utah really has figured out where the rest of the country really just hasn't. So it was a big deal that we talked about. I mean, this was 2008, 2009. Anyway, a lot of fun, but I learned a lot at that level. Mayor talked about National League of Cities, which I think is going to be a great opportunity that we get to go to that. I've never been to the National League of Cities. I won't be able to go the whole thing, just a couple of days, which the Mayor and I will be able to coordinate. So hopefully many of you can also try to attend that. LPC is probably the big thing I want to talk about. I'm really anxious and nervous about this next legislative session. A lot of big items. Housing, of course, is still going to be a big deal. What's affordable, and what's city's role in making and helping things become affordable. Homelessness is going to be another big issue they're going to talk a lot about. But the big one that really gets me nervous is property taxes. There's 3 or 4 different proposals that might be proposed, including capping property taxes increases each year to 3 or 5%, which changes a few things in how we operate. There's talk about shifting the 50, and Councilmember Paul, we appreciate this, the 55% rebate down to 45%. A resident will pay 45%, shifting some of that responsibility potentially to the businesses in making up that difference. Yeah. Councilmember-elect Bangler, we've talked about that a few times, but reducing the residential burden on the property taxes could shift some of that responsibility to the commercial businesses. That's another scary thing that they're talking about. Public sector collective bargaining potentially going to be on the 2026 ballot, which again creates another challenge. And anyway, a lot of scary things upcoming. Councilmember Hurst, I don't know if you had a chance to attend the last LPC, but if you do, just watch it back. And all of you have, if you want to read the minutes or look at the agendas or look at the slides on the league website, I encourage you to do so just to be up to speed. I have a feeling we're going to be making a lot of phone calls this legislative session, so we might need some help.
They already, from Monday's meeting, gave us things that we talked to our representatives about, in a follow-up email.
Right. So, Mayor, we do need to start coordinating that meeting with our representatives at the state level.
Okay.
If you could help me out with that, that'd be great. And that's all I have right now, Mr. Mayor, unless there's questions for me.
Have you heard anything about the statewide zoning overlay, or is that something that you've heard?
Yeah, so
about?
there's always a conversation, and that's the scary thing when we talk about zoning, when we talk about our general plan and the process we're going through, is if the question's asked is, do we have to follow what the state mandates us? Well, the argument is if you don't, then the state will decide, you know what, you no longer have the authority. So states such as Oregon, any changes you want to make to your local land use, you have to get approval from the state, because the state now controls all land use for the state, but for every city. So you lose that local control. So there's some level of, you've got to play the game a little bit and understand what that is, because right now you're getting a lot of carrots, and if we don't take advantage of the carrots, we're going to get a lot of sticks later. And that's the worrisome, is the state can take that local authority away from us, and that's the scare. So, so there's some level of participating and being engaged in the conversation and not just outright fighting the mandates that are put on us. Our argument of fighting the mandates is meeting with Representative Cutler, Senator Adams, and saying, we don't like these, we need to find a way to push back against them. That's how we push back. We need to meet with our representatives. So.
And a small precinct with Representative Ward.
Yes, and a small 5 homes with Representative Ward. Redistricting is another big thing that's going to be discussed over the next little bit too. Oh man,
That one's never controversial.
Mayor and I were sitting in a meeting with Representative Ward a couple years ago, and that meeting was interesting, wasn't it, Mayor?
Yeah.
When they were talking about drawing the boundaries. So, anyway, that's all I have, unless there's other questions from you.
Can I ask a question? And I think I missed my spot when the mayor asked, but you are aware of the truth and taxation hearing for the county on December 2nd?
So yeah, so Councilmember Plummer and I were discussing this before the meeting, that there's that conflict where we have a city council meeting at the same time there's truth and taxation, which is a conversation we had, I don't know, 3 months ago, where there was another conflict where the county is scheduling these truth and taxation meetings on council nights. Again, I just explained to Councilmember Plummer that it's up to you as a council to change your regularly scheduled council meetings to accommodate those truth and taxations. That's entirely up to you. But again, I just feel our meeting is set for the year, and I'm a little frustrated that the county chooses potentially to ignore our meeting dates. But again, it's up to the council if you wish to defer cancel those meetings to accommodate that truth and taxation.
I will say that for meeting state code for the rec district, we have to have that meeting prior to our
Yes, you do.
rec district final budget process, so.
Yeah, that's required, that we
Is-
have the public hearing.
Is this the 30%?
This is a
For
30.
And that is
proposed.
huge, and I appreciate what you're saying, Councilman Plummer. You heard me say that, and in respect to the county, if they don't do it, the only nights they have to do it is Monday night, Friday night, or Saturday night. Because you have city councils throughout the county that are meeting on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, or other meetings as well too. So no matter when they schedule, it was probably going to affect some city somewhere, you know, unless they had done it. I mean, you guys did it on a Monday night.
We meet on Mondays.
Yeah, so.
Well,
so-
the first,
Brian?
yeah.
And they probably have to do it after, do they have to do it after 6? Do they have
It
to-
is, I believe, scheduled from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Because usually they have county commission meetings at, what, 4 in the afternoon or 5 in the afternoon?
Actually, I
9 in
believe
the
they're in the
morning.
morning.
9, 10 in the morning.
But they're not doing that, it's in the evening. Okay.
Brian, have they recorded any of the other, there were 2 other meetings already, correct?
They've been town halls, so there was no recording. There
Okay,
was
so
basically,
this will be the public hearing.
this is the public hearing.
Will they accept email comments?
That is a good question. I do not know. And I'm only bringing it up so as we can all have a discussion. If we don't want to have that or make any changes, which I agree that we've already done our schedule, and it really is something that the county should have been more aware of, and maybe they were, as the mayor stated, they just couldn't really schedule anything better as far as a time. But it is something that our residents may want to attend, and if there was something in that particular council meeting on the 2nd that was important that they would also need to be here for, it would be a conflict. And so that is something I would just like to have out there. I'm aware of it. I would like to see the, I would like everybody to be able to attend all their meetings, but as I've seen in the past, that's sometimes difficult for myself and others to do. But just throwing it out there. If nobody else is thinking that it's important or not something that we need to change our schedule for, then I'm willing to just let it go, and maybe I'll be late that night. I don't know.
Well, could we, if we have public hearing items, could we just move those to the end of the meeting for that particular?
Well, I was gonna say, let's be really sensitive to that, so that we try not to put something on that meeting that, I mean, obviously if there's something with a deadline, but, you know, if it's something that we know people would be very interested in, realize that that would be a conflict, so try to keep that December meeting.
I don't anticipate us having a work session on the 2nd, just because we're winding down the rest of this year. There's some items that we should wait till the first of the year. Wait till Councilmember Summerhay is off the council and then get really into the, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But ultimately, I mean, we're kind of in this weird spot, right? So I don't necessarily want to debate anything in detail with a work session.
If we're not gonna do a
the
work
first of the year.
session, then you could maybe move our general meeting up sooner, that if we did have a public hearing item.
Or you're saying so start at 5 and get done by 6 so people can attend? Is that what
Or
you're saying?
at least you take care of the public hearing matters between 5 and 5:30, so that they could leave and get there on time. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out.
Well, let's have a conversation with staff to see what we have going
Yeah.
on, and then Mayor and I will have a conversation on how we'd like to proceed with the meeting on the 2nd. Is that fair?
That's why I asked, was it the 30% increase? Because this isn't just, it's just not a county meeting that's conflicting, and then they're discussing planting some trees in the backyard of the county building. This is a big one.
And it is
And I get it.
contested, at least from what I understand, between the commissioners.
Even my wife is participating in it.
Yeah,
to my- So, yes, it is contested.
All right, thank you. So,
Yeah, Mayor, let me get with staff, I'll get a better idea.
then you and I discuss, yeah. And the council is throwing out some ideas as well, too.
Thank you.
All righty, anything else from anybody? I'm not aware of a closed session, so I have motion to adjourn.
So moved.
What's happening?
All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
There it is. Except for council